Hi everyone, and welcome to another MBA on Air webinar. My name is Ruben, and I'm the product manager of MBA. MBA is a distributor of motors in Spain and Portugal. And today we have Mr. Peter Scheinemann, the researcher and development director of Implantcast. For those of you who doesn't know Implantcast, they have more than 30 years of experience in the medical device, and from the beginning they have put their efforts in the limb salvage prosthetic. Mr. Scheinemann has taken part of the success of the company, which is now worldwide through more than 70 countries around the world. And he was developing with his team a new gold standard prosthetics, but also leading the CFIT 3D team. This team is in charge of the custom-made implants of Implantcast, and along its history has performed 5,500 cases along its history. And this year they think, or they are scheduling more than 700 cases along this year, along the 2020. The talk, titled CFIT 3D High-End Engineering of Custom-Made Implants, will have two blocks or three blocks. But the two first is going to be about the designing, developing, and manufacturing. And the last part is going to be really interesting because they are going to show us some of their cases in this history. After each block, you can make questions. Actually, Mr. Peter Scheinemann will answer them. For making the questions, you have a bubble talking somewhere on your screen, depending on where you are using mobile phone or laptop, but you can make any question at any time, so you can start now. Nothing else to say for my side, so thanks and welcome, Peter. Peter, you have to unmute, please.
Okay, sorry for any inconvenience. That's the first time we are doing such a webinar, and I would like to share now the desktop and try to start again the presentation. So again, a warm welcome from me talking to you. Unfortunately, I don't know exactly how many participants we have this evening, but warm welcome to all our surgeons, all our friends, and special thanks to the colleagues from MBA organizing this webinar. And especially I would like to welcome all the representatives of our competitors listening also today. Some numbers from Implantcast. Ruben told us before, founded in 1988, private-owned company. Meanwhile, we have over 600 employees. We are active in over 70 countries worldwide and established the CFIT 3D department that is exclusively dealing with custom-made implants several years ago. We are looking back on more than 30 years of experience in custom-made implants. Meanwhile, more than 10 engineers are working on that subject, and 700 expected cases in 2020. And meanwhile, I think something 5,000 to 6,000 cases in total we did up to now. Here a short introduction of the team. My team that is doing the great job for the custom-made implants for several years now. Our portfolio is dealing with the most common sites where we need custom-made implant, beginning from the upper extremity to the lower extremity, and much more. This is what I want to show you today. In the first chapter, we will like to talk about design, development, and production, and I would like to show you the quite complex process chain. In the second chapter, we will talk about indications and limitations for custom-made implants, and that is maybe that's new for you, not only a medical perspective. And in the last chapter, I will show you hopefully some very, very interesting case presentations. The process chain is beginning with the data. Normally we are working with CT scans, followed by the design of the implant, design of possible necessary PSIs. The regulatory work is done. You have to sign some documents, you know that. The meanest thing is the most important thing then is the production process, where several problems have to be avoided to deliver sterile and well-packaged implants to give you the opportunity to provide a successful surgery for your patients. Beginning with the raw digital data, as I told before, meanwhile normally a CT scan, but we can also work with MRI and register MRI data together with CT scans, X-rays, everything, and coming up with your ideas, the ideas of the surgeon. We have to bring it together with the medical facts, as well as talking about resection lengths, oncological aspects, allergy prophylaxis, bone quality. We have to talk about your aim of the treatment. Don't forget the soft tissue conditions of the patients to design an implant that is fitting to the patient's need as its best. Communication is, from my point of view, the most important thing in dealing with custom-made implants, because if we don't have a good mutual communication with you, with surgeons, we cannot produce anything. We communicate with you via email, via telephone. We are traditional post, but nowadays we are trying to introduce during the summer a new communication and data platform called ICAPS, Interactive Communication and Planning System. This is a computer program we developed together with a French partner company, and ICAPS will be web-based. You log in, you can register, can follow your case in a cases in a case register. You can see a 3D visualization of the planned implants. You upload your data. You can see whatever you want, what is happening to your case in the current situation. You have the status of your case. You can log in and see whatever's happening with your case. You can have a chat with the engineer that is working on the case. And from my point of view, the best thing is that we can take the resection margins for oncological cases digitally. You can work on the case. You can design the resection levels, and we can get the information from you perfectly. How do we design custom-made implants? At first, we need all the necessary informations about the case. I have here a little example prepared of a 4-year-old child with a tumor in the distal femur. You can see this might be a perfect option for a custom-made groin prosthesis, but we have different challenges to cover to provide the best implant we can. First, you know it, the size. It's small, you have bad soft tissue coverage. The child is growing. We have to take care of this. And we would like to save as much bone stock as possible and want to provide, hopefully, a natural joint function. To cover this, we take into account our experience in standard tumor prosthesis, as the Humerus distal femur on the right side, and from the custom-made Implant distal femur that you all know. And we have to bring it together with our manufacturing options, especially here, the additive manufacturing. And that's the know-how from former cases. We bring it together. In this case, we designed a small stem. We took an account for this case our Humerus system. We bring it together with the EPOR structure to provide a better bony ingrowth. We bring it together with our experience of the expandable prosthesis and provide a hemiprosthesis to save the growing and the joint function of the proximal tibia. And this was the result in that case. You see it, a humerus-based stem with an angle-stable screw. You have the expand system for a growing, and you have a hemiprosthesis to save the joint function. So, remember the challenges. A child, small, it grows, and we save the joints. That's how we are dealing in every case. We define the challenges and we try to find, based on our experience, based on our developments in the standard endoprothesis field, we try to provide every knowledge in these kind of new custom-made cases. We have different production possibilities. The best thing is the 3D printing. It offers us possibilities of the EPOR structure, what means that we have a porous structure that is not a coating, but has nearly the same structure than non-cancellous bone, and provides a better bony ingrowth. And we have several cases meanwhile where we found also soft tissue ingrowth in this EPOR structure, which gives us the opportunity to offer also the EPOR structure on the outer side of the prosthesis, where hopefully soft tissue muscles can ingrow to give a better coverage at all. The process chain and the timeline is something which is very interesting for you. Starting with the CT scan, with this 3D reconstruction, followed by the consultation with you, with surgeons. We offer the 3D planning, sometimes with standard implants, if it is possible, but then it's followed by an order, or we need to go to an individual design if necessary, followed by an individual planning, your confirmation and an order. And then we start the final design, the manufacturing, coatings and quality control. So the question that is asked in every case is, how long does it take? It takes 2 to 9 weeks. It depends on the case, it depends on the coating, it depends on the manufacturing process, and it depends on the amount of work, the amount of cases that we have at the time that you are interested in any kind of custom-made implant. Nowadays, that's the reason why I do not speak personally to all of you. You all know about the Corona crisis at the moment that also affects our design and production process as well. We work together with several partner companies especially in the coating processes. Some of them are located in foreign countries, in Italy, for example. So at the moment we have some problems, to be honest, to keep the delivery times as short as we would like to do. I have to apologize for that. That's my wish that you understand it at the moment, but we are trying together with the team to get that in a normal time frame that you are expecting from us. But normally we are expecting 2 to 9 weeks for the design and manufacturing process to deliver you a good implant. So that's the end of the chapter 1, and hopefully we will have questions now.
Yes, Peter, we have some questions regarding also what you were talking at the beginning of the talk about the iCaps, and the question comes from Adrian, and he's asking, when will iCaps go live? When it will be available?
We will go live during the next weeks with some surgeons, with some hospitals, national German hospitals and international hospitals as well, with a trial phase. So we start to remove some bugs that the software will maybe have, and to learn in our team more about this software. It's also for us. It's new, and hopefully in the fourth quarter of this year we will start to integrate interested surgeons, hospitals, countries as well. But we will go step by step to keep our time frames, because the most important thing for us is to deliver good implants, and this software will help us in the future to be better and faster. But at the beginning we want to go a little bit slowly. So if our international distributors are interested, if there are interested surgeons worldwide, just get into contact with us, and we will try to integrate you into the group step by step.
Perfect. And also you were, well, I hope you are going to do well with this software, because I was watching it and I attended to like a class or master class of it, and it was really good. So I think that the software will perform better or shorter cases, and I hope that it will be shorter than it's now. But I think for us, at least in Spain, it's okay that the time lapse. Another question regarding the growing prosthesis is, well, here they are asking about how many growing prostheses do you perform per year, more or less?
At the moment, it's more or less 100 a year.
100 a year. Okay. And well, you have two systems. This is from my side. You have two systems. More or less the percentage of these growing prostheses. How much are the expand system and how much are the Bioexpand system?
The main is the expand Proteases, because it's very easy to be implanted. It's very the time frame to get it is quite short. It's 95%. It's the expand Proteases, and 5% it's the Bioexpand. But if a surgeon, if you want to get a Bioexpand, the first step is the implantation of a nearly standard implant that is can easily be revised, because we need, for the for first 3 to 4 years, we don't need any bone lengthening. We have to wait until there is a significant leg length discrepancy, and then we are planning the biological explant prosthesis with a fit bone nail.
Perfect. We have the last question for this blog, because I'm seeing a lot of questions, but they are coming. I think it's better for the next blogs. One is if you could talk a little bit about materials for custom-made prosthetics. I don't know if you are going to talk later on, but here is the question from Rubén García.
Materials. We are using the same materials that we are using in our standard prosthesis. That's mainly, it's titanium alloy, copper chromium alloy if we cast the prosthesis. It's polyethylene for the inlays, for the bearing surfaces, and some specials, but that are the main materials.
And also the same person is asking about biomaterials. If are they recommended for these custom-made implants or not? I don't know if they are thinking in some specific biomaterial. But what can you tell us?
If we are talking about biomaterials, it's a special, very special question. We try to use, as I told before, the materials that we have, because that's following in the next chapter. We have to prove the biocompatibility of every material that we use, and if we have something new, like a new biomaterial, we have to prove it at first. We cannot use it, even not for customized implants. Otherwise, we have coatings with biomaterials like tricalcium phosphate and hydroxyapatite. I don't know exactly in which direction the question goes.
And I think this is going to be the last one for sure. Here is a person we don't know, is anonymous, who is writing this, but he's aware of silver coatings. Are you currently working on antibiotic coatings as well as bioactive materials for bone regeneration?
There are several research projects in our company for antibiotic coatings and further developments on silver coatings as well, even to provide in the future antimicrobiological coatings on the anchorage stems. But this is something for the future and cannot be provided as a customized implant at the moment.
Thank you, Peter. I think we can continue and ask the next questions later on.
Okay, next questions later on. So we move to the second chapter about indications and limitations for custom-made implants. You can divide it into 3 parts: the medical reasons for a custom-made implant, the technical reasons, and economical reasons. If we are talking about medical reasons, there's the age of a patient. If the patient is a child, you need something special. Physical conditions and anatomical specialties that make it not possible to implant a standard prosthesis, or even the options to sell healthy soft tissue or bone material. These are the main indications for custom-made implants. If we have an oncological case, the main goal is to avoid amputation. That's the main goal. And if we're talking about oncology prosthesis, that was ever the main goal. And other companies developed modular systems. Our Muta systems nowadays is about, I think, 2,500 single parts, and you can combine nearly everything with the system, but we are reaching some limitations if we're talking about joint saving implants and other things. And so nowadays we can save more limbs with custom-made implants as we could do it only with a normal modular system. For the technical reasons, one is quite easily said, there are no appropriate standard implants on the market. This is a technical reason for a custom-made implant that corresponds with other reasons, and we have new technologies that allow us to provide implants that were not be able to be manufactured in the past. And one quite important thing is the combination with products from other manufacturers that are not on the market anymore. So we have often the case that surgeons come with cases, ask us, oh, I have here a very old prosthesis from Humerus, and I don't want to explant the well-integrated stem. And if there are no implants available for a revision, we can provide, sometimes together with the help of the original manufacturer, solutions to give a good option for the patient. These are the technical reasons for custom-made implant. And last but not least, there are economical reasons. If we are talking, for example, about the Buxtehude stem, we are often asked, oh, do you have this? Do you have this from the shelf? And I have to say, no, it's custom made in any case, because there are so many variations possible, nearly 1,000 different combinations of diameter, angle of the screw, the length. This is not possible to provide all these sizes from economical reasons. We have anatomical diversity in your patients. So if we are talking, for example, you see it here, about scapular replacement, every patient is different. There are different demands for every patient. It's from the economical point of view, not possible to provide a good implant from the shelf. We need custom-made implants for all these cases. From the indications, we have to go to the limitations. There are, of course, limitations in medical, technical, and that's a very important point, even regulatory reasons. The medical limitation is the time frame. We need time to provide a custom-made implant. It cannot be delivered tomorrow. So if you have a patient, for example, with a fast-growing tumor problem, it might be better to have the second best solution with a standard tumor prosthesis, or to go the way of a two-stage procedure to give us the time to provide a well-fitting customized implant. Allergy is not really a limitation, but we have to talk about hypersensitivity of a patient in any case, because we can provide for cobalt chromium implants, for example, we can provide the titanium nitride coating to avoid allergic reactions. Anatomical size and shape. If you see here, this case of a revision of a glenoid replacement, you have undercuts. This is impossible to implant a prosthesis in one direction. We have to think about further resection of this scapula to make it possible to design a well-fitting implant. That is not. This is a limitation. This does not make a custom-made implant impossible, but we have to think about this. The forces, the reaction forces coming from the body weight and from the use of the prosthesis is higher than one may expect. We are often asked to reconstruct the center of rotation to an anatomical point, and I have these discussions several times a year, and we, the engineers, say, oh, we don't have so much anchorage, we have a long stem, not a sufficient bone situation. The bending forces on the stem are too high to get a sufficient fixation of such an endoprosthesis. So please let us shorten the leg a little bit. This is a compromise. This is a limitation of our custom-made implants, and we have to talk about this in a good communication in any case. And last but not least, the inadequate fixation. As we have seen before, we try to save joints in any case nowadays, but sometimes it's too short to get a good fixation. The bone is too short, and then we have to get the second best solution and make a proximal femur replacement or a distal femur replacement, although maybe the cartilage is okay. These are the medical limitations of custom-made implants. Last thing, the surgical approach. Sometimes we are designing together with the surgeons, with you, we are designing wonderful implants, but we should not forget that you finally have to get it in. And if the surgical approach does not match the design of the implant, you will be disappointed during surgery. That's our work to ask this, and we ask this question to you: how do you want to get into the patient? How is your surgical approach? That gives us the opportunity to design the implant in a correct way. From the technical reasons, there are some limitations about the material properties. As I told before, we are only allowed to use standard implant materials. Otherwise, if we use new materials, we have to prove at first the biocompatibility. This takes 6 months. I don't think that anyone in the world wants to wait 6 months for a custom-made implants. We have to take care of that the materials work together well. We cannot provide a ceramic head together with a metal shell or something like that. We have to take care of this. We have to take care of the compatibility of the custom-made implant to standard implants that you need to implant to get the connection to a hip shell or something like that. And from my point of view, the most important thing is the mechanical stability. As we heard before, you have patients, small patients, where we cannot put in regular stems. We need thinner stems, but we have to take into account that the child or even the adult wants to walk on that implant for a long time. And if you ask me, for example, to put a 6mm titanium stem into a 130 kilogram patient, we should discuss about that. If the patient lies in bed only, it might be possible. We had these cases before where the demand was only to save the leg and to reduce the pain of the patient. Then it might be possible. It's part of the risk analysis. And before we get to the regulatory points, some questions have to be answered about manufacturing. Some things that we design together with you, with the surgeons, we see later on that it's impossible to produce it. That might happen. Yeah, if you ask me, for example, for an EPOS structure with a normal HA coating, it's impossible. It would be possible to manufacture, but it will close the pores. And some implants, we'll had to learn that in the past. We designed, we were happy. You, the surgeons, everyone was happy. And then our production department told us, sorry, we cannot produce it because we have to change here, we have to change there. That's what we have to learn and have to take in account in advance to save time and to produce high quality implants as you like. The regulatory reasons becoming much more important than we had it in the past. Only some things, it's about biocompatibility, it's about cleaning and sterilization, and it's about packaging, but it's much, much more. And maybe we can discuss this in the following session, but only some words. The regulatory demands are for custom-made prostheses the same that we have for standard prostheses. So you have to follow the same rules, you have to take into account the same risk management, and if we follow these demands word by word, it would take half a year to design and to deliver a custom-made implant. We would have to do testings and so on. So we decided to use our experience from our standard prostheses, and all our customized implants are designed and produced following the same processes. We have to check, do we have different materials? If not, everything is okay. Is everything tested in advance about biocompatibility? Yes, we can follow the next steps. Cleaning and sterilization. Cleaning and sterilization has to be validated, has to be a validated process, and we have to check in advance if we have a worst case product that where we can take the information from. So we have to check this, we have a checklist, we go through it, and finally it ends with the packaging. So all these things have to be taken into account, and this is one of the reasons why it takes sometimes a little bit longer nowadays. I remember it's only some years ago with different regulations. Yeah, it was possible for us to provide a custom-made implant within 3 or 4 days. We were allowed to deliver this product non-sterile, for example. It's impossible today, and it's sometimes, to be honest, for me, for us, for the team, for the company, very, very difficult to explain it. And when I'm joining congresses and talk to colleagues from other companies, I'm wondering how small companies can manage that. That's not easy. Maybe they have a different good way, but it's only for me the wish to inform you about the things that we cannot change. We are in that jail of regulatory and have to follow all these processes. So now we ended the second chapter already, and I'm waiting for your questions. Thanks a lot for the moment.
Thank you, Peter. It's quite interesting what the materials and this engineering stuff. And we have received some questions regarding this. For example, well, the first question of Germán Norambuena was are you still using titanium nitride coating? You talked about that, so you answered your questions, but he's worried about the performance of these coatings and if they have the FDA approved.
We are working we are working with titanium nitride coatings since the beginning of Implantcast. And we made together with a partner company in northern Germany who is doing this coating and who they developed this coating. We are working together with them since these days, and we have done so many investigations about titanium nitride together with them that we are so sure that we provide a perfect coating. We are selling thousands of standard knee prostheses with titanium nitride coating in the whole world, and it doesn't matter if we are talking about standard prostheses or custom-made prostheses. This is a very, very safe procedure. Up to now, we sold more than 500,000 titanium nitride coated components.
Thank you, Peter. In our experience, MBA experience, they are working really good, and well, they sometimes even like more to have titanium nitride for the friction. No. Another question. I don't know who is asking this, but he's worried about if you make simulations to know how long will that specific implant last. If you are doing FEA analysis or something else.
Yeah, we are doing FEA in certain cases if we have the fear that we need it. For the simplest example is the thin stem. If you have a 6 millimeter stem, you cannot load it with full body weight, and we are doing FEA in these cases to tell the surgeon, to tell the patient with which percentage of body weight he should load it. And we are doing in these cases a risk analysis and say, okay, it's worth to save the leg, more worth and to cover than covering the risk of stem breakage. If we are talking about children, you know the stems are very well ingrown. You take a 10 millimeter femoral stem, for example, for a growing prosthesis. We did FEA for these stems. We did biomechanical tests, and we found out which percentage of body weight this can be loaded, this stem, and on the expandable stems for the expandable prosthesis, there's a weight limit for, to be honest, I'm not sure, it's 40 kilograms full body weight, and if the child becomes bigger and more heavier, we have to take care. This is a risk, to be honest.
Thank you, Peter. Actually, this question came more than once, so I think it's a worry that many people or many surgeons has.
It's a very good question because that's a decision that we have to make during the design process. It takes time. If we want to make a biomechanical test on any kind of a custom-made implant, we have to do it for, if we're talking especially for pelvic replacements, we have to do it for every case. If we do it, it takes time. So we have to discuss what is more worth, to save time or to have a higher risk. In general, every customized implant has a higher risk of failure than a standard implant, because for a standard implant we have much more time to do all the verification and validation things. That's the risk management that we are doing in each case. If we have a huge block of titanium to be implanted, it will not break. So our risk management says there's no danger. We don't need to do any testings or any further FEA. This can be the result of this decision. In other in other cases we have to do. And this is decided, we are deciding in every case new.
Thank you, Peter. We have well, more questions. For example, I think I know the answer, but now it confuses me a bit. Where is the production located? Only in Germany or also elsewhere? Are you producing in other country than Germany?
We are producing mainly in Germany, but we have some partner companies, especially for the coating processes in other countries in Europe.
Perfect. More questions? Well, is this growing prosthesis true custom or patient matching? Are there different prices for different categories? I don't know if you want to answer about the prices, but about the custom, that worries me also. So if you can talk us about the growing prosthesis and their custom characteristic or the patient matching.
I don't know if I understood your question correctly. If we are talking about growing prosthesis, every growing prosthesis is custom made. It has to be planned individual for each patient. The parts have to be prepared and manufactured for each patient individually. Although you may have the feeling that the explant prosthesis look the same way, but we have to check it for every patient and are forced from the government to have it as a individually produced prosthesis. Mm-hmm. So we have pre-manufactured stems, of course, but they are additionally to the custom-made prosthesis, and they are not available without the custom-made prosthesis.
Perfect. And one last question regarding this is not about maybe the manufacturing or the materials, but about the results. The results with prosthesis with silver coating. How are they? And well, if we have some results published in some papers, or what can you tell us?
At first, the silver coating is not a custom-made product. It's CE marked, it's certified, it's registered, and there are several studies from Münster in Germany, from Essen in Germany, from other hospitals worldwide, and if you can find it in the internet. Only some short words about that. We have very good results in the reduction of infection in the proximal femur, in the proximal tibia, and in the proximal humerus. In the distal femur, it's a little bit controversial. We see good results, but they are not significant. Maybe we are not sure. We are investigating that depending on the indication. Because if you use the silver coating only in standard oncological cases, the results may be better. But nowadays we are able to save limbs even in bad infection, reinfection cases using the silver coating. But in general, the results get worse because these cases in former times there were no treatment and for these cases they ended up with an amputation. So in the distal femur there is more investigation needed to get reliable results.
Thank you, Peter. I think from Spain and from Portugal, we are going to have quite a lot of results because they are performing a lot of distal femurs silver coated. So when they want to do a study, maybe they can do a multicentric study. So there are more questions, but I think they fit more in the next blog. So
okay, so we can move forward for the next steps. Case presentations. Maybe the most important or most interesting part to show some spectacular cases. We are starting from the upper extremity, going down to the feet. At first, a case of a scapular tumor from Poland, from a patient born in 2005 with a Ewing sarcoma of the left scapula, and together with the surgeons, we decided to do a custom-made anatomical total scapular replacement, tin coating to avoid abrasive wear of the titanium basic material. And here you can see in these beautiful pictures the hemiprothesis, where we saved the anatomical humerus head. You see these pictures. I like them very well. This is not a photograph. It's done by the CAD from the CAD system that makes photorealistic pictures. That's very good for these kinds of presentations. Sometimes you see it in the proposals and in the surgical techniques that we provide as well, but it takes a lot of time, and so don't be worried if you see it in your next case a little bit black and white or in grayscale. Next case was a glenoid tumor from a hospital in Belgium. Chondroblastoma of the glenoid was a two-stage procedure with a glenoid replacement looking like that. Here we can cross a little bit back to the technical demands on custom-made implants and combined with the medical demands. You see here on the left-hand side that this prosthesis is done by connecting two metal parts intraoperatively, because otherwise it was not able to implant it. So at first you have to implant the main part, and then if you see it on the right-hand side, you close the prosthesis with this modular flange. This is a combination with the standard implant with an Agilon, short-stamped Agilon Me prosthesis. Going to the next case, a shoulder revision. Indication was the distal dislocation of a reverse total humerus implant, and we converted it without changing the glenoid implant that was fixed, although it looks a little bit strange. It was fixed, and we converted that to a constrained reverse shoulder that you can see here, and some technical details with a polyethylene inlay with a safety ring and with a 28mm head that's safe in the constrained inlay. From this case, I can get back to the risk management. You know that constrained shoulders, constrained joints in general have a limited range of motion, and there are forces, higher forces than you have in non-constrained implants. From that point of view, there is a higher risk of dislocation, and we have to take this in account when talking about constrained shoulder prosthesis. Postoperative picture. Some rare cases, a tumor in the distal radius. This case from Poland, a giant cell tumor. We planned a custom-made distal radius replacement with a tin coating, and that's special in this case, with an EPOS structure on the outer side to provide a possible soft tissue ingrowth. You see here the holes for the primary refixation. This is a case from Germany. We are working now for several months. You see the picture. I did not know the name and I did not know this fracture before, and I only want to show you this case because of the complex technical solution. You see it here. I go back. Yeah, you can maybe imagine how the implantation of this complex prosthesis will be done. And if we are talking about the time frame for such a kind of prosthesis, it's more than 9 weeks. And please don't ask me any questions about the costs. To be honest, I don't think that Implantcast will earn much money with this, but we accepted that case to show everyone what is technically possible if we work together closely with our surgeons, with our customers. Going down to the lower extremity, pelvic revision is a main topic in our custom-made business. In this case, we have a big defect in the acetabulum after losing of a hip cup, and we were asked to prepare a partial pelvic reconstruction. You can see it here. We have, for these revision cases, we have a design that is offered with a screw or with a stem. You can choose it into the sacrum that gives a perfect primary and secondary stability. We can put several screws in it where we find the best bone quality. For every pelvic replacement, we are delivering PSIs to find the correct position of for the drilling and for the stems. And if necessary, we can provide samples of the implant made of plastic material. We can deliver it sterile. We can deliver models of the pelvic bone so that you can check during surgery to get the correct orientation. You can have the trial implants to test it if you want. You can use it. If you don't need it, we save some money. Here the post-operative outcome. In this case, we had an acetabulum fracture on the right side, as you can see, treated. Here you can see with a custom-made shell. You can see it's nearly the same design as we had it in the case before. Some screws more, a flange on the lateral side of the iliac wing. Post-operative outcome. Even in the pelvic reconstruction, we tried to save the joint if possible. You see this case here where we designed an EPOR ilium replacement. I know that there are many discussions about indications for endoprothesis in these kinds of tumor cases. I don't want to start this discussion now. It's your decision whether you use an implant, a metal implant, or a biological reconstruction, or even stabilization with other things like spine rods or something like that. Here you can see the patient-specific implants, the instruments, the saw guide, and a trial implant with the drill guides, and another pelvic case with the two-stage revision after infection. That's for us, for the engineers, the best way to design a prosthesis. If there is no implant inside anymore, because we don't have any artifacts from the CT scan and metal implants inside. The same thing with the big resection. It's like a tumor case, yeah, even if it's only a revision here. And in this case, you can see the special adapters for a spine rod to have the option intraoperatively to use a spine rod and pedicle screws to fix the implant additionally to the sacrum. Another pelvic tumor case, a Ewing sarcoma of the right pelvis. A big reconstruction. Even here, we had the discussion during the last 20 years if such a prosthesis is good or is not good. When I started my career at Implantcast, we decided we will never do such mega implants because all the experience was so bad in the past. Everything failed, but we had to learn. Fortunately, we had to learn from our friends, from our surgeons, that the new technologies in manufacturing, the new design tools that we have to produce very, very accurate prostheses lead to the situation that even these kinds of big mega prostheses can have a very good outcome. I'm very, very, very thankful for our partners in Poland, especially that they designed these prostheses together with us. Joint saving implant, you see that is one of the main topics that we are dealing with. Here, a diaphyseal implant case where we designed a Buxtehude stem for the proximal part and a nearly equally designed stem for the distal side, in this case with extracortical flanges. You see the drill guides we deliver for every custom-made implant, the drill guide, the resection guide, and everything that you might need during surgery. Here the outcome. Growing prosthesis, we talked about before, quite easily done. The normal expandable prosthesis is not a big thing for us. We have to design the tibial joint to make it fit to the anatomical situation of the patient. We have to take care about the soft tissue in the little child, and the other things are we have to take care about the electric management of this prosthesis. There is a weak point. It's the cable. This is a kind of risk if the cable is not laid in the correct position. If there are muscles tearing on the cable, there might occur some problems. But with our partners in Warsaw, they did the most prosthesis. We could reduce the overall complication rate during the last 15 years to 16% of our cases in Warsaw. So we are very happy with this result up to now, but we are working on further developments to reduce it a little bit more. Here's some examples of growing prosthesis. You see, very, very special, very small. It's only a picture that should show you what might be possible. And we never thought that we would investigate so many different designs of growing prosthesis for different patients. We learned during the last 15 years that especially in children, everything, no case is like the other, everything is different, and this is the reason why we ask our customers, our surgeons, our friends for good mutual conversation to find the best solution for the patients. Knee revision is a different topic. Here a case from Austria, loosening of a knee prosthesis, a bone cement allergy, so we needed to design something without cement. That was the result, a customized metaphyseal component on the tibial and on the femoral side, spacers on the tibial and femoral side designed as custom made as well. And we needed to produce a broach, custom made broach as well, to prepare the metaphyseal components exactly. Here you can see the result. From my point of view, looks quite well. Distal tibia, you might say, rare case, but we are doing approximately 10 to 20 a year. So for us, it's nearly daily business to produce custom-made distal tibia replacements. You see it here, custom-made stem in the calcaneus, secured with the screw through the calcaneus. In the middle, you see the drill guide that we prepare individual for every case. You will get a saw capture for every case individual, and on the left-hand side, the complete implant. A calcaneus replacement, that's a rare case, yes. You can see it here with the hollow stem that we adapted from our standard prosthesis, the calcaneus inside, if necessary, even outside, with the EPOR structure, with the holes for soft tissue refixation. And oh, we're at the end. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the show. And now I would like you to have some last questions. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Peter. Well, the questions were the cases to show were really good. And well, we have some questions, and also regarding the last blog, not only this one. For example, one question I think is from your distributors in Latin America. They are wondering how long do they take the custom-made implants to arrive there. I don't know if they are just talking about custom-made implants, but I'm asking for it because it's the topic now.
So I'm not sure if I understand the question correctly. Are we talking about the production time, or are we talking about the shipment time? So the production time, as I told before, it depends on the case. Absolutely, you cannot say in general a custom-made prosthesis takes 4 weeks. Shipment is another subject that depends on the country. I think if you clear all the problems with the customs, it takes 1 day, but it can take 2 weeks, and that's not in our hands.
Okay, thank you. I want to gather 2 questions some people ask, and it's about the guides you were showing. Well, one of the questions were actually if you are performing specific guides for the patient's needs or the custom made. And regarding these questions that you already answered, they ask, and in that case, are they coming sterile or unsterile? And also, what material are you using?
It's the material. It's a biocompatible plastic. It's polyamide, and we are delivering sterile because it's impossible to sterilize this implant in an autoclave.
And actually about the re-sterilization, not for the PSI guides, but for the implants, it is possible to re-sterilize the implants in the hospital?
We deliver all our implants sterile, and we do not recommend re-sterilization. And if a hospital would do a re-sterilization of our implants, they do it on their own risk, and that's not in our responsibility then.
Okay, thank you. One of the points from the manufacturing process is how is the trabecular metal they are asking, the dipore, made? How are you making it?
Yeah, it's 3D printed, and the 3D printing process is a melting process layer by layer. So you add 50 microns of titanium powder in the chamber, and then the electron beam melts the powder. And then the next step is to add again 50 microns of powder. And it's the CAD, the computer file that tells the electron beam where to melt the titanium powder. So you can build up every structure that you want. And we designed this EPOS structure to get close to the measures of a trabecular bone, and put this into a CAD file that is put on the surface of the main implant, and then the implant and the EPOS structure, they are produced together. That's not a coating, it's the implant itself.
Okay, thank you. Well, now with this last part, regarding this last part, for example, we have a question here. Do you have studies of implants survive? They are wondering, for example, of the wrist custom-made implant or distal tibia custom-made prosthesis. The distal tibia you have shown us.
That's a very, very good question, and I would like to have a study, but the problem is the rare amount of these cases, the different cases. You cannot compare one distal tibia to another. You have a different patients group, you have different indications, and we have some results of some hospitals, but they only have examined 5 cases, for example. So if we are talking about big studies about customized implants, we don't have, because it's nearly impossible. We tried with the MUTAS group, we tried several times to bring all data together, but that's not easy. We are working on that subject, but that's not easy. We have a good study from Poland, from Warsaw, about all the custom-made groin prostheses they did in the last 15 years. I'm not sure about the correct numbers. I think they did more than 200 cases in their study group, and that's one of the best studies that we have about the expandable prostheses. But if we are talking about clinical results of, for example, pelvic replacement, it's difficult to compare the cases. Yeah, and I know from one Poland group from Stettin, they examined the results of the pelvic replacement with very good results, but this is one hospital.
Okay, thank you. And in terms of revision, because you are talking about also revision and both revision and tumoral custom-made implants, but Dr. Murphy is wondering, in terms of revision, which is the location you have performed more cases?
I'm not sure. I would have to calculate our data, but I feel that's it's the pelvic region. It's pelvic replacement in revision cases. Revision shells from small revision shells up to what I showed you in the case presentations, nearly complete pelvic replacements in revision cases.
Okay, thank you, Peter. 3 questions left. One I think is gonna compromise you a bit, because Jesus Ortega is asking which is the average cost of a hip custom-made prosthesis for pelvic resections.
You're not compromising me, because I cannot tell you exactly, because we are talking about individual implants, and from that it's difficult. We have this discussion over years now in Germany with our hospitals and with our partner companies in the whole world. They asked me at first, when they send the case, what will it cost? And I say, okay, I can tell you the costs now, but I can tell you the costs later if you like. The later I calculate the costs, the cheaper the prosthesis will be. Because if I tell you now the price, I have to add a risk factor. So it might be higher. So to answer the question, I cannot tell you in general. It depends on the case.
Yeah, and two questions left here, and I think they are really interesting. Well, one is, and I think it was already answered, but if you talk more about this, can you manufacture a custom-made implant with silver coating?
Yes, of course. No, that's absolutely not. This is absolutely not a problem in general, but we have to take into account that not every silver coating process is successful. So if I coat, for example, 100 sleeves for a Humerus prosthesis, for a standard prosthesis, the process will fail. I don't know the numbers, in 5% of all sleeves that I wanted to coat. If I give only one custom-made implant to the coating, the chance is 95% to get it back correctly. So if we are unlucky, we have to wait another 3 weeks for the next coating process. So we have to decide in the planning phase of a custom-made implant if we want to have the silver coating, and we have to take in account the risk that it might delay the planned date of surgery. But technically, no problem.
Thank you, Peter. And the last question comes from Peter Thompson. Would it be possible to get a custom-made piece to be attached to a standard implant?
Yes, of course, if necessary. We are combining our custom-made prosthesis every day to our standard prosthesis. That's our big benefit, that we have no limitations, because we are designing the customized implants together, to work together with standard implants, because it's faster and it's cheaper to use as much products from the shelf and to design only a custom-made prosthesis where it's absolutely necessary. So, and from that point of view, yes, of course, if we are talking about the combination of our products with products from other manufacturers, it depends a little bit if it is necessary or not. If there is no other solution for the patient, we make the risk management and we say, yes, it's possible, because it helps the patient more than taking out everything which is implanted.
And actually, when we say implant, it means also from the competitors' implants, maybe.
Yes, of course. That's what I tried to explain. But if there is no implant in the patient and a surgeon likes us to combine his favorite standard implant with a customized implant from Implantcast, we have to talk about that. That's not only a question of competition and a question of sales, but it's a question of the risks that we affect. You should not mix and match. Only do it if absolutely necessary.
Thank you, Peter. One last question. This is going to be the last one. It came now, but no more accepted. What happens if the surgery gets delayed because of an infection? He's wondering what is the expiring date of the custom-made implants. I think it's the same as the standard ones.
Yes, the theoretical time to be sterile is 5 years, but we are sure that you won't use the custom-made implants after 5 years. But I understand the question. We had these cases we have these kinds of cases several times a year, and if the surgery is delayed 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, it should be no problem. If the anatomical situation is the same, but we had some cases where the surgery was delayed due to different reasons, about 3, 6, 9 months, and then we have to check again the anatomical situation of the patient, maybe with a new CT scan, to be secure that the implant will still fit to the patient.
Thank you, Peter. I think that's it for today. We went to more than we said at the beginning, but I think it was a really interesting talk. I want to thank you, Peter Scheinemann, and the rest of your team that I think they are doing a really great job. Thank you everyone to join us. My name is Rubén Zuleja, and this was MBA on Air.